Alrighty, so today we are going to be going through a PowerPoint on geographic factors and the influence they pose. So for today, we are going to want to learn how geographical factors can affect trade, learn how geographical factors can affect the movement of people, and also learn how geographical factors can affect ideas. So starting off, what is a geographical factor? Geographical factors can be climate, landscape, or natural resources. You might ask, what are those things? So, what is climate? Climate is not just weather. You might be thinking if it is raining today that the climate could just be that it is rainy in Ohio or it is rainy in Northeast Ohio. That is not true. So, weather is going to be minute by minute changes in the atmosphere. Climate is what the weather is like over a long period of time in a specific area. So when we're thinking about climate, let's think about Antarctica. The climate is not going to be dry, hot, sunny all the time. It is going to be cold. It's going to be icy, snowy. It is light and dark. They do have daylight cycles, so that's not really relating to climate, but it is going to be mostly cold, snowy, icy, lots of water over in Antarctica. So again, climate is the average course of weather conditions for a particular region over the course of many years. Now, what is landscape? A landscape is part of the Earth's surface that can be viewed at one time from one place. It consists of the geographic features that mark or are characteristic of a particular area. So picture below, we have a beautiful landscape. You can see a mountain region in the background, a river right in front of us on some luscious grass. So that would be the landscape. You can get many landscapes in a certain area. There's hundreds of landscapes just within a given state. When I went to Colorado this summer, when I was driving on the highway, it was mostly flat everywhere. You can see on the perimeter all of the mountain regions. But then when you go into the Red Rock area of Colorado, it's just hilly, it's rocks, there's mountains everywhere. It's beautiful out there. So that's two completely different landscapes within one state already. So, lastly, what are natural resources? Natural resources are resources that exist without any actions of humankind. So these aren't going to be man-made things like metal. Obviously, there's some metals that are within the ground, but some metals that we can make, types of grades of steel, those are man-made things. But with this list below, we've got sun, forest, rock, minerals, animals, air, oil, water, and soil. So these are things that are coming from the earth. No humankind interactions involved with the process of making these. So that's what natural resources are going to be. All right, getting into how climate affects trade. So climate can damage infrastructure. With sea levels rising, you can see pictured below. When it comes to trade, even if it's as simple as a trade as bringing a cup of sugar to your neighbor, you see that picture below. Unless you're willing to go swimming, that's how it can affect that cup of sugar trade, because that whole area is absolutely flooded. So that can damage the infrastructure. Land erosion, you can see pictured down in the right corner. You can see that there's a lot of people up there. Could be a man-made, could be a naturally occurring path that just happened over time. We call those desired paths. So you can see that that path is slowly deteriorating because the land is eroding. It is falling down. So at some point in time, that path might not even be there anymore. You can see it already took out a huge tree. You can see the roots kind of falling all down. And then, so trade costs, they can rise or fall due to disruptions to the supply chain because of climate changes. So we'll take that cup of sugar, for example, again. Say your neighbor wants $1 for it. Or say you want $1 to give your neighbor a cup of sugar, but your whole neighborhood is flooded. Are you really going to go swimming for just $1? No, you might want $5 to go swimming for a simple cup of sugar. If it's a bright, beautiful day, the birds are chirping, everything's all good, maybe then you'll take $1. So that's how trade costs in a simple form can rise or fall due to disruptions of the supply chain. Next, we've got how landscape affects movement. So people move through land, water, and air, but some landscapes pose threats to movement and make it challenging. So you can see down below, we've got a beautiful mountain area, those can pose a threat to the movement of people due to their harsher landscapes. I'm sure every single one of you would rather walk a straight path to your neighbor, even if your neighbor's across the state, and that's how the only way you got to get to them. It's before cars. It's before we had buggies and horses to get there. You got to walk the whole way. I'm sure you'd rather have a straight line across a plain than going up and down a harsh mountain climate. Also, riverbanks. They can allow trade through the use of boats. We've got a river down below in the bottom right. You can see you could perfectly put a boat on there. You could put all your stuff that you're trading. Say you're a fisherman. You could go and trade fish to the local fish market. You just go out on your boat, go right back through the river all the way to the trade market, and yeah, sell your fish off. And then as well, land erosion. That can always pose a threat to communities. Next, we've got how natural resources affect ideas. So, areas can have more natural resources than other ones, leading to new and different ideas forming the land. So, pictured below, we've got Africa and everything that it is rich in within resources. So, Africa is rich in oil, precious metals, and timber, which is wood. It's also rich in diamonds, crude oil. You can see cocoa beans, rubber down in the left tip of it. But despite the wealth of natural resources, Africa is still lagging in development due to poor resource management and corruption. So that's how it can affect ideas, because you can have a whole country full of resources, abundant with resources. And yet, if you don't have the right ideas on how to manage those resources, you can lag in development. All right, bringing us to a close here, we've got our Q&A section. So I gave you guys a sheet of paper with these also on it. I'm going to want you to write down your answers and turn them in at the end of the class, but I'll go through these questions one by one here. So, number 1, how might immigrants affect the geographic patterns in the U.S.? Number 2, how would a railroad system affect geographic patterns? And number 3, how could a country rich in one natural resource affect a country that is poor in the same resource? Okay, again, I gave you guys all a sheet of paper with all those questions on it. I want you to write down your answers, and maybe a paragraph, 2 paragraphs is perfectly fine. That's enough. But get those handed in by the end of the class. And that brings us to an end. So if you have any questions regarding this lesson, just stop by my room at the end of the day or at lunch. You can email me whenever you feel like it. And that's it. Thanks for everyone coming.